Forrest, welcome once again to the show. I hear you've got a story for us.
Yes, the story is about the time in which I was almost kidnapped as a child. And so this would probably be best to email to MFM, but it's cool. I like you a lot, so I'll just share it with you instead.
So, just so you know, I mean, if somebody tries to kidnap you as a child, it's kind of a good thing, right? It means you were an attractive child.
That's...
Whoa!
But no. That were a dumb one.
Whoa!
Yes. Kids are worth money. That's all we know for sure. They do things. They don't ask questions. They do them of their own volition. Anyway, so this is what happened. I was walking through the apartment complex, and I was with my friend Courtney. We're both blonde-haired. She has blue eyes. I have whatever these eyes are. I think they're brown. Sometimes they look jade. Some people tell me they are green. And I'm like, whatever you want them to be. They're beautiful, I'm sure.
I'm hearing a lot of different acronyms for the same color. Brown.
Whatever. Anyway, they're beautiful. I'm beautiful. Just pay attention to me.
Just pay attention to me.
Just pay attention to me.
What's that cheerleader?
Whoa!
So we're walking through the apartment complex, which is playing outside, and this white minivan pulls up in front of us. And they look like a really nice couple. And they're like, hey, we're just looking for the front office. Maybe you could tell us where it's at. So I'm like, sure. Keep going where you're going. Take a left. It's right up the hill. You cannot miss it. And they're like, wow, you've done a great job giving us directions. But we might get lost. So you should hop in so you can show us where it's at.
That is valid.
No, it is not. Not when you're like, up the hill, you cannot miss it. So at which point I'm like, no.
They
We're
could get
good.
lost, Forrest.
We're good. You cannot get lost from the one left turn and straight up a hill. So I was like, you just go up the hill, you'll find it. You can't miss it. And that's what I told him. I was like, no. Just go up the hill. You cannot miss it. It's right there. It's huge. You can't miss it. And they're like, okay, well, you've done a really great job just telling us where to find it. How about you have some fun? Hop on the window shield here. And you can ride on the window shield. And we'll just go up to the front office.
I mean, that does sound like a lot of fun.
And I was like, this is getting more weird. So I was like, no, we're good. We're good, thank you. And they're like, okay, but you have done a great job. Like, you've done a really great job. So take this candy from us. Because we think you've done such a great job. You both deserve a full-size candy bar. And my friend Courtney was like, bing! Eyes wide open. She was so ready for it. She was like, let me get that candy. And I took all of the weight in my body. I jumped up with my arm and I was like, whack! Do not take candy from a stranger. And she was like, okay. And they're like, okay. And I was like, we told you where the office is. Get out of here. And they're like, okay, you did a great job. Thanks. And they took off. And I'm watching them drive away. But they did not take that left turn and go up the hill to the
Whoa!
office. They left the apartment complex. So that's when I got suspicious.
That's when you got suspicious.
That's when I got suspicious.
That's the time that she got suspicious, guys. It's not when they tried to get her in the van or to ride it or taking candy. Even though you didn't take the candy, so that's good.
It's when they didn't go to the office is when I got suspicious. I thought that was weird.
Was it a windowless van?
No, very dark windows.
Very dark windows. Basically windowless.
Yeah, basically a soccer mom's van with pitch black windows. And so I was like, that's not odd. But what is odd is that they didn't go to the office after asking where it's at. So I tell my mom, I'm like, Mom, this is what happened today. They tried to get me into the van. They tried to get me to take them to the office. I didn't do any of it. And she was like, great job. Did you get the license plate number?
You're like the one thing.
I was like,
didn't remember.
Mom, that was not a part of my training. You have come up behind me multiple times pretending to kidnap me. Never did you say remember the license plate number.
See, nowadays everybody's got a cell phone, even the kids. So you just snap a quick picture of the license plate.
And so this has sat in the bank of my guilt for the entirety of my existence.
Because you didn't. They turned right instead of left, and they found the next pretty blonde little girl, and they took her.
I know! I'm so sad about it.
You're basically...
I'm basically a murderer. Anyways, so here I am, basically a murderer, now feeling super guilty 20 years later for not remembering the
Whoa!
license plate number because that was not a part of my abduction training that my mom put me through. So, I'm at the grocery store.
Okay.
and I see a white minivan that looks a lot like the one that almost abducted me.
Now, how far is this down the road? Like, how much time has elapsed?
20 years later.
20
I'm at
years
the grocery
later.
store and I see a
This
minivan.
has been in your mind for 20 years.
And it looks exactly like the minivan that almost abducted me. Like exactly like the minivan that almost abducted me. And this has been sitting in my guilt box for a while. And I realize that guilt box is made for you to end up realizing that there are events in your life where you will be approached with this very similar circumstance. And you can rectify that. You can remedy those situations in your life if you do the right thing. So I finally did the right thing and I wrote down that minivan's license plate number and I called the police and I gave them this white minivan's license plate number.
It's probably not the same one.
I don't know who got called out for that,
Whoa.
but I know that I feel a lot better.
Whoa, you're the reason some innocent poor schmuck is in jail.
No, I feel so much better. I don't know who got called out for that, but I know I feel so much better.
There's 20 years later, a van looks similar, so you call it into the police.
It was the exact minivan, I'm sure of it.
The exact minivan.
Therefore, I can now rest easy, and I don't know who went to jail, but at least they didn't abduct any other pretty blonde girls. So.
Yes, let's abduct anyone who could possibly abduct somebody else.
Yeah, just anybody about anything. Just if it looks similar.
We should have an IQ test.
If you see something, say something. Isn't that the protocol?
Is that the way it's said?
Yeah, so that's my story.
That's your story. Wow.
Of the time where I almost took the candy. But I didn't take the candy. My friend almost took the candy.
Your friend almost took the candy.
Slapped the shit out
Whoa!
of her and reported it 20 years later.
Was it a good candy bar? Was it like
Babe Ruth, bro.
Babe Ruth? Whoa.
Prime
The babes.
real estate.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
You should have kept the candy bar and taken it back to get it tested.
Okay, hold on. See, here's the thing with my stand-up is I make sure to break in at that point with the 10-5-2 rule.
Okay.
So they know we were at 10 feet when the minivan arrived. When they started talking to us, we were at 5 feet. That means you need to be very well aware of the engage that happens when you go into that 2 feet to get that candy bar. Once you're in that 2 feet, you are in action zone, brah. If you are not ready for that action, you are about to get snatched up through that window and about to be their sex slave forever. You are 10 years old. That's at least 60 years of your life.
60 years? That's a good life. 70-year-old?
That's at least 30 years of your life.
40? How about we split the
That's
difference?
at least 10 years of your life.
Man, this would be an interesting stat. How long do sex slaves live after they're abducted?
Okay, well, now we've gotten into bleak territory. We're no longer in comedy. But
Comedy
there
is
was that one
tragedy.
chick.
Comedy is tragedy plus time. This is tragic.
Genuinely.
How much time needs to go
we
by?
passed that 26.6 years. That's why we're laughing about it now.
That's right.
Although I'm pretty sure that they did abduct someone after us. I feel so guilty about that. I'm going to actually report some random minivan license plate number. I haven't done it yet, but I will.
What you need to do is just go to Costco. There are lots of minivans at Costco. You can find 10,
No, but
20.
here's the weird
Just report
thing.
them all.
Okay, this
You'll
is
feel
a
way
side
better.
note. I don't even know if this follows into that. This isn't going to be a part of my stand-up thing, but this is a side note. Here's a side note thing. Is there was a couple that I ended up walking dogs for about 5 years later that looked exactly like the couple that tried to abduct me. And here's the weird part. Is because the wife went out of town and the husband needed help moving rocks in his backyard. And he was like, so I'll pay you $100 if you come over by yourself and move these rocks in my backyard.
Did he specify by yourself?
He did.
Okay, that's the red flag right there. Because people do go out of town, and people do need to move rocks.
And I was like, I'm not allowed to come over by myself. I have to bring my friend Zane with me. And he's like, well, the job's already done. Sorry.
Whoa.
I should have reported their white minivan. I swear to God, they were the same people. It would have been weird to walk their dogs 10 years later, but
Wait.
seriously. I mean,
Did
5
they have
years later, but
did
seriously.
Did they have the same white minivan?
They did. They had a white minivan. I don't know if it's the same. I didn't take the license plate number.
But you don't report that white minivan. You report the other random white minivan
Yeah, 15
20 years later.
I haven't. Well, because these things didn't connect until I was adult.
I love
with
the way
Bulletproof
your mind
Covenant.
works. It is astounding. This is why you're going to do well at comedy. And as soon as you have a link to your stand-up, make sure to send it to me so I can send it to all of our listeners.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. I'm sure they'd be very interested in all the other options in which I've almost been, like, kidnapped or murdered. Because there's more. There's absolutely more.
And we can't wait to hear about them next time.
Okay.
Like, comment, subscribe.